Hi Year 9, Mr. Zapley here for your next lesson of Year 9 Geography. At this lesson we are looking at developing our understanding of the different biomes found within Australia, so bringing it home, and their national distribution, their location. So where are the different types of biomes around Australia and what are they? Success criteria is to outline the environmental features of Australian biomes, so what makes a forest different from a grassland, and how human activities impact something called biodiversity. So, biodiversity, speaking of which, is the range of animals and plant life. So bio means life, and then diversity means differences. So the amount of the different types of animals and plants found in Australia is one of the highest levels in the world. We're very famous for the amount of animals, the different types of animals that we have in Australia. You know, the koalas, the kangaroos, the etceteras. Our nation is home to more than 1 million species of plants and animals, many of which are found nowhere else in the world. The range of wildlife found in Australia is directly connected to the different biomes found in our nation. So the reason we have all of these amazing, fantastical creatures is because of our environment, because of the different biomes we have. Some nations around the world have very strict extremes in climate. So in places like Russia, where they have a lot of tundra, very cold biome, or in Brazil, where they have a very hot tropical climate, lots of rainforests, you're only really restricted to one type of animal. Whereas in Australia, since we have a variety of environments, of ecoregions, we support the development of different biomes that provide habitats for different types of wildlife. The maps below demonstrate the range of climate zones. So a climate zone, climate is basically the weather. It's the long-term weather, rain, winds, and this map right here shows you all those different colors represent a different type of climate. So you have the green up the top there in Darwin and Cairns and Queensland, tropical, very hot, very wet. Whereas in the middle of Australia, Northern Territory, tops of South Australia, you're looking at a desert environment. So not every country in the world looks like that. Australia is different. Australia is special. So the range of climate zones that we have and the ecoregions, so the difference between a tropical rainforest and a temperate forest, shows you just how different, just how unique Australia is. Consider the impact that this level of environmental diversity might have on the wildlife and humans in Australia. So for example, we're not going to have many cities of high population in these desert regions. That's why all the large cities in Australia, like Melbourne and Sydney, are found on the coast, are found in those temperate environments. In many regions, Australia's biomes have been changed by human activities. For example, climate change, pollution, deforestation, agriculture, invasive species, exploitation of resources, and construction have all damaged our natural environment. So, this map on the right here probably looked very, very different 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 50 years ago. So the amount of forests we had was probably larger. There were probably more forests, less people back in the day. But basically, all those human activities have damaged our natural environment, which has led to a decline, so lowering numbers of the amount and the distribution of wildlife and natural resources. So if I was to show you a map of Australia that showed you the different animals, the different plants in Australia, how much water, how much wood and trees we have, that would be shrinking over time. Deforestation impacts the soil quality, so cutting down trees impacts the ability of the soil of the land to retain, to keep water, which affects our ability to grow crops, which affects farming, which affects how much food I have. And it destroys animal habitats, such as the grassland and the forest biome. This unsustainable human development has led to land degradation. So instead of nice, healthy land that grows you food, that goes into yourself, you have places that look like that. And it's led to water pollution. So there's something that we might look at later on called coral bleaching, which is basically where the coral, which is this big rainbow underwater forest that you have off the coast of Australia, the Great Barrier Reef is a coral forest. Instead of being all pretty full and colorful and full of animals, it's bleached. It dies. It just turns bone white. It generally looks like a graveyard. It's a skeleton graveyard. So human activities have led to land and water being polluted, being destroyed. It is important to understand biomes, which is why we're looking at it, and to learn the human impact of our activities if we wish to protect the environment for future generations. I'm not really a fan of the current American president, but the previous American president, Barack Obama, gave a very famous speech about the Great Barrier Reef, about Australian environment. And he said, I really hope that my children get to see the Great Barrier Reef. Y'all might not be able to see it. You know, by the time you get a plane ticket and you get up to Queensland to see a icon, a symbol, a landmark of Australian history, it might be gone if we continue to destroy the environment. It's just going to look like this. Not going to be any fish, not going to be any plants. So that's why it's important to understand biomes, understand what they are, how they're important, so that we can convince people to protect them. Cool. So that's all I'm going to talk to you all about for this lesson. What I'd like you to do now is to complete the following questions after reading chapter 10.5. You can access that via Compass or Google Classroom. That's what it looks like. That map probably looks familiar. But it looks at Australia's major biomes, so the different types of environments in Australia. So instead of just stopping at that colourful map, it tells you what a wetland is. It tells you what a savanna is. It tells you what a seagrass meadow is. Turtle, nice. And after reading those first 2 pages there, you've got a few questions to put into your digital notebook. Question 1. If my laptop loads. There we go. Question 1. Explain the cause or the causes for the different types of biomes found within Australia. So what makes Australia different? What's creating all these different types of environments in Australia? Question 2. Explain the term biodiversity. So what does that word mean? If any of you guys are doing biology and VCE next year, you'll hear that term. And the significance of protecting biodiversity in Australia. So what is it? Why is it important to protect in Australia? Question 3. What human activities have led to the disappearance of the majority of native grassland in Australia? So grassland is the type of biome, type of environment in Australia. It's being cut down, it's being destroyed because of blank. What human activities are destroying grassland in Australia? And then question 4. What is the connection, what is the relationship between biomes and the climate? So how does the climate of a region, if it's very hot, very cold, wet, dry, whatever, how does that impact the biomes that you will find in that place? So you've got 4 questions to smash out after reading chapter 10.5. If you have any questions or concerns, again, please let me know. Otherwise, best of luck, guys. Hope you're well, and cheers.